Welcome to our deep dive into goo.
Goo.
It's ancient Chinese sorcery.
Yeah.
You're clearly interested in this topic, and today we're going to unpack its secrets,
Oh, yeah.
exploring its rituals, its power, and its enduring hold on the imagination.
It's interesting that you use the word obscure,
Okay.
because while goo is often mentioned in historical texts and folklore,
Right.
the actual practices and principles behind it
Yeah.
are often shrouded in mystery.
It's true.
Yeah.
Goo is often described as a higher form of curse, a way to exert control and inflict harm through supernatural means. But the details, the specific techniques and ingredients,
Right.
those are often intentionally obscured.
Yes.
Almost like trade secrets.
That's right.
Yeah.
The most potent forms of goo were often closely guarded by practitioners, passed down through lineages, or kept within specific communities.
Right.
It's as if they wanted to prevent the knowledge from falling into the wrong hands.
And that makes our job even more intriguing.
Right. Absolutely.
We have to sift through layers of history, folklore,
Yeah.
and maybe even some misinformation to try and understand
Oh, yeah, for
the
sure.
core principles of goo and what made it so feared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to begin, it's helpful to look at the word goo itself.
Okay.
The Chinese character goo is very evocative.
All right.
It depicts 3 insects on top of a vessel,
Okay.
hinting at the core concept of dew.
3 insects in a vessel.
Yeah.
So it's not just about a single venomous creature.
No, it's about the interaction, the conflict, the struggle for dominance within a confined space.
Wow.
Imagine a sealed container filled with a variety of venomous creatures,
Okay.
from scorpions and centipedes to snakes and toads,
Oh, wow.
even plants and other natural elements.
So it's like a miniature venomous ecosystem
Right.
where only the strongest survive.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
The creation of goo was all about harnessing the power of that struggle, the concentrated essence of venom,
Right.
and according to ancient beliefs, the spiritual energy associated with these creatures.
Okay, this is where it starts to get really interesting.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about poison, but about something more, something spiritual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The process of creating goo was highly ritualized,
Okay.
with specific timings and practices designed to connect the practitioner to the spiritual realm.
And these rituals, they were often tied to specific dates and events, right?
You're right.
Yeah.
One particularly significant date was the Duanru Festival,
Okay.
also known as the Dragon Boat Festival,
Mm-hmm.
which falls on the 5th day of the 5th lunar month.
Yeah.
It was believed to be an auspicious time to begin the creation of goo.
Of course, a festival associated with warding off evil spirits and bad luck.
Right.
It makes sense that it would be connected to goo rituals as well. So how did they actually make goo? Was it just a matter of throwing a bunch of creatures in a jar and letting them fight it out?
Not quite. It was a much more deliberate and controlled process, guided by a goo master, a specialized practitioner with knowledge of the rituals and ingredients.
Okay.
The goo master would carefully select the creatures,
Right.
considering their specific properties and venom, and then place them within a consecrated vessel.
So it wasn't just random chaos. There was a method to the madness.
Absolutely.
Wow.
The vessel itself was important too,
Okay.
often made of specific materials and inscribed with symbols or incantations.
Wow. So they really put a lot of thought into this.
They did.
Yeah.
Once the creatures were sealed inside,
Uh-huh.
the goo master would perform rituals to imbue the vessel with spiritual energy
Okay.
and initiate the transformative process.
And this transformation, how long did it take?
It varied.
Okay.
Depending on the desired potency and the type of goo being created, some might mature in a matter of weeks,
Okay.
while others could take months or even a year to reach their full potential.
A whole year.
Yes,
That's quite a commitment.
it is.
What happened during this waiting period? Did they just leave the vessel alone?
No. The goon master would continue to interact with the vessel,
Okay.
performing daily rituals and prayers
Wow.
to maintain the spiritual connection and influence the development of the goon.
So the goo master was almost like a shepherd,
Yes,
guiding the development of the goo within the vessel.
that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
They were nurturing the goo,
Right.
shaping its power through their intention and rituals, and inside the vessel, a brutal competition was taking place.
Right. The fight for survival. What exactly was happening inside that sealed container?
Imagine a microcosm of nature's most intense battles.
Okay.
Creatures clashing, venom flowing, a constant struggle for dominance.
Wow.
Only the strongest, the most venomous,
Right.
could survive this ordeal.
So it was like a venomous gladiatorial arena with the winner becoming the embodiment of the goo.
Precisely.
Wow, okay.
And the type of creature that emerged victorious determined the type of goo and its specific properties.
So like different types of go.
Yes.
Okay.
For example, if a snake was the last one standing,
Okay.
it would become a dragon goo, associated with snake-like pain and agility.
Makes sense.
If a lizard survived, it might become a Kirin goo,
Okay.
known for its speed and ferocity.
So the goo wasn't just about the venom itself,
Right.
but about the essence, the spirit of the surviving creature.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is where the concept of goo as a spiritual entity comes into play.
Okay.
The creature that survived the ordeal within the vessel
Yeah.
was no longer seen as a mere animal.
Mm-hmm.
It was considered a conduit to a spiritual force,
Wow.
a spirit medium created through the goo ritual.
This is where it gets really mind-blowing for me.
Yeah.
So they believed they were creating a spiritual being through this process.
That's the core belief.
Wow.
And through this spirit medium, the goon master could influence and manipulate the spiritual realm, almost like using money to influence the material world.
So goo wasn't just about inflicting physical harm.
Right.
It was a way to tap into a whole other dimension of power and influence?
That's right.
Wow.
The effects of goo were believed to be far-reaching, affecting not only the physical body, but also fortune relationships and even the spiritual well-being of the target.
This is fascinating, and I'm eager to learn more about the specific types of goo and their effects.
Yes.
But before we dive into that,
Okay.
can you summarize what we've learned so far about the core principles of goo?
Of course.
Okay.
Goo, in its essence,
Yeah.
is about harnessing the power of venomous creatures and transforming them into spiritual entities through a ritualistic process.
Right.
The goo master acts as a guide, shaping the goo's power and directing its influence.
Okay.
The surviving creature, imbued with the essence of its rivals and the spiritual energy of the ritual, becomes a conduit to the spiritual realm.
Wow.
Capable of influencing events and fortunes in the material world.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack, but it's incredibly intriguing.
Yes, it is.
We've gone from venomous creatures in a jar to a whole system of spiritual manipulation.
It's quite a concept.
I can't wait to dive deeper into the world of goo and learn more about the specific types and their effects.
And we'll do just that. In part 2 of our deep dive, we'll explore the diverse range of goo.
Okay.
From those that inflict physical pain to those that manipulate fortune and bring about ruin. We'll delve into the most infamous goo of all, the golden cicada, and the high price of wielding its power.
Stay tuned, listeners, because things are about to get even more intriguing.
Absolutely.
We're going to uncover the secrets of goo, its place in history, and its connection to ancient Chinese beliefs about the unseen forces that shape our lives.
It'll be a wild ride.
Definitely. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of goo.
Goo.
Last time we left off with the idea of goo as a conduit to spiritual power.
Yeah.
Capable of influencing not just physical health, but also fortune and even the very essence of a person's being.
Right.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
But it really highlights the complexity and depth of this ancient practice.
And that complexity becomes even more apparent when we start to explore the wide variety of goo and their purported effects.
Right. I'm really curious to learn more about the different types of goo.
Yeah.
Did they all cause physical harm, or were there other ways they were used?
While some goo were indeed associated with inflicting pain and suffering, the range of their applications was far broader.
So there are other types?
Yes. Some were believed to manipulate emotions, causing discord in relationships or even driving people to madness.
Wow.
Others were said to influence fortune, bringing about financial ruin or social downfall.
It sounds like there was a goo for almost anything.
In a way, yes. It all depended on the specific creatures used, the rituals performed, and the intentions of the goo master.
It's almost like a whole system of magical manipulation with different goo for different purposes.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
Goo, in a sense, was a way to harness the power of nature, both its physical and spiritual aspects, for specific ends.
So it wasn't just about causing harm.
Oh.
It could be used for more strategic purposes.
Exactly.
Like gaining an advantage over a rival or influencing someone's behavior.
Precisely.
And this brings us to the question of who actually used goo.
Right.
Was it something that everyone had access to?
Well,
or was it more limited to certain groups?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
Based on what we've discussed so far,
Mhm.
it seems like creating goo required specialized knowledge and resources.
You're absolutely right. The creation and manipulation of goo
Yeah,
was a complex and often dangerous undertaking,
it was.
requiring not only a deep understanding of rituals and ingredients,
Mm-hmm.
but also access to rare and sometimes dangerous creatures.
For sure.
This suggests that goo was likely more prevalent among those with the means and the motivation
Yes.
to acquire such knowledge and resources.
Exactly.
So we're talking about the elite, the
Yeah.
wealthy, those in positions of power.
It's certainly plausible.
Yeah.
Imagine rival merchants seeking to sabotage each other's businesses,
Okay.
or ambitious nobles vying for political influence.
Hmm.
Goo, with its potential to inflict harm, manipulate fortune, and sow discord,
Right.
could have been a powerful tool in their arsenal.
It's almost like a magical form of espionage or sabotage.
Exactly.
Wow.
And the fact that goo often left no visible trace
Mm-hmm.
made it even more effective in these contexts.
Right, because it would be really hard to prove
Yes.
that someone was using goo against you.
Right. Remember, goo was believed to attack the spirit,
Well,
causing illnesses and misfortunes that
Yeah.
defied conventional explanations.
right. It's not like you could point to a specific wound and say,
Mhm.
aha, that's definitely the work of a venomous scorpion goo.
Precisely.
Yeah.
This lack of physical evidence
Right.
made goo a perfect weapon for those who wanted to operate in the shadows,
Mm-hmm.
maintaining plausible deniability while wielding a powerful force.
It all sounds very cloak and dagger.
It does.
But if goo was so subtle and difficult to detect, how did anyone even know it was being used?
That's where the power of belief comes in.
Okay.
Even if there was no concrete proof,
Yeah.
the fear and suspicion surrounding goo
Mm.
permeated ancient Chinese society.
Right. So people were always kind of looking over their shoulder,
Yes,
worried that someone might be using goo against them.
exactly. Tales of sudden illnesses, unexplained misfortunes,
Mm-hmm.
and whispers of dark magic
Right.
created an atmosphere of paranoia and distrust.
So it was like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of goo itself became a weapon.
In a sense, yes.
Wow.
The mere suggestion that someone might be using goo
Right.
could create anxiety, sow discord, and even lead to real physical symptoms.
Because they believed it so strongly.
Yes,
It's a testament to the power of belief and the way it can shape our perceptions of reality.
absolutely.
And within this atmosphere of fear and suspicion,
Yeah,
the role of the goo master becomes even more intriguing.
absolutely. The goo master, with their specialized knowledge
Right.
and ability to manipulate spiritual forces,
Yeah.
would have been both feared and respected.
They were like the gatekeepers of a hidden world,
Right.
wielding knowledge that could bring both harm and healing.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
this duality, this ability to both inflict and alleviate suffering,
Right.
is a recurring theme in the world of goo.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that power, especially spiritual power, can be used for both good and evil.
It's also fascinating how the concept of goo connects to broader beliefs
Mm-hmm.
about spiritual energy and its influence on the physical world.
You're right.
Yeah.
The idea that unseen forces can impact our health, fortune, and relationships is a recurring theme across many cultures and traditions.
Right, like karma or fate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Goo, in a way, is a specific manifestation of this belief,
Mhm.
a way to interact with and manipulate these unseen forces
Yeah.
through rituals and natural elements.
It's like a bridge between the material world and the spiritual realm, with the goo master as the intermediary.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And this bridge wasn't always used for nefarious purposes.
really?
Yes, while goo was certainly feared for its potential to cause harm,
Right.
it was also believed to have healing properties.
So it could be used for good.
Yes. Some goo masters were said to use their knowledge to create remedies for illnesses,
Okay.
protect against misfortune, and restore balance to troubled lives.
It was like a double-edged sword,
Right.
capable of both causing and alleviating suffering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this duality is what makes goo so captivating, both historically and in our modern imagination.
Right, it's like this mysterious force that can be used for good or evil.
Exactly. It challenges our understanding of the relationship
Okay.
between the natural world, the spiritual realm, and the power of belief.
It's a reminder that even in ancient times,
Yeah.
people grappled with complex questions about the nature of power, the limits of knowledge, and the unseen forces that shape our lives.
It's a timeless theme.
It's a theme that continues to resonate with us today.
Absolutely.
But before we get too philosophical,
Okay.
I'm really curious to learn more about the infamous Golden cicada goo.
The golden cicada.
You mentioned it earlier.
Yes.
And it sounds like it deserves its own deep dive.
You're right. The golden cicada goo is a fascinating and complex case.
Okay.
And one that really highlights the potential consequences of wielding such power. We'll delve into its secrets and explore the high price associated with its allure in the next part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned, listeners.
Yes.
We're going to unravel the mysteries of the golden cicada goo and explore its connection to money misfortune and the enduring human desire to control fate. Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
The deep dive.
We've been on quite a journey exploring the intricate world of goo.
Yes, we have.
From its venomous origins to its connection with spiritual forces.
It's been fascinating.
Now we're finally going to delve into the golden cicada goo,
Okay.
a particularly potent and sought-after type that you alluded to earlier.
Yes.
What makes this one so special?
The golden cicada goo occupies a unique place in goo lore.
Okay.
Often described as the most potent and potentially dangerous type, it's believed to have the power to transfer wealth and fortune to its owner,
Okay.
making it incredibly alluring to those seeking power and riches.
Ah, the classic tale of wealth and power.
Yes,
Always a dangerous combination.
it is.
But you've hinted that this power comes at a steep price.
It does.
What exactly is the catch with the golden cicada goo?
The golden cicada goo is said to be bound by a pact, a
Okay.
set of conditions that the owner must adhere to or face dire consequences.
So there are rules
Yes.
with this one.
Firstly, creating a golden cicada goo is an incredibly difficult feat.
Okay.
It requires a rare and elusive golden cicada, a mythical insect resembling its namesake. And the process of ensuring its survival within the goo vessel is fraught with challenges.
So not only is the main ingredient incredibly rare,
Right.
but the process itself is incredibly difficult.
Yes, very.
No wonder this goo is shrouded in so much mystery and intrigue.
Exactly.
But you mentioned a pact.
Yeah.
Tell me more about the conditions and consequences.
The pact with the golden cicada goo
Okay.
is said to involve 3 primary conditions.
3.
Yes.
Okay.
1, the owner will inevitably suffer one of 3 fates:
Okay.
a life of solitude,
Uh-huh.
a descent into poverty,
Right.
or an untimely death.
Loneliness, poverty, or death, and a constant need to feed the goo with silk.
Yes, that's the second condition.
Okay.
The goo demands constant feeding with silk,
Okay.
symbolizing the ongoing cost of maintaining its power.
It sounds like a Faustian bargain to me.
It does, doesn't it?
What's the third condition?
The third condition is perhaps the most chilling.
Okay.
The owner of the golden cicada goo is required to sacrifice a life each year.
A life.
Yes, to appease the goo and maintain its power.
Oh, wow.
It's a dark reminder of the moral cost
Right.
associated with wielding such power.
A life each year? That's a heavy burden to bear, both morally and practically.
It is.
It really emphasizes the dark side of goo
Yeah,
and the potential consequences of tampering with spiritual forces.
for sure.
But if the consequences are so severe, why would anyone even consider using the golden cicada goo?
The allure of wealth and power
Right.
is a strong motivator.
Yeah,
And the promise of the golden cicada goo can be intoxicating.
right. It makes sense.
Some might believe they can outsmart the goo
Okay.
or find a way to break the pact,
Yeah.
while others might be willing to accept the risks
Yeah.
in exchange for the potential rewards.
It's a gamble with incredibly high stakes.
Very high.
And it makes you wonder about the people who might have been tempted by such power, the lengths they might go to, and the justifications they might use for their action.
Absolutely.
So once you're bound to the golden cicada goo, is there any way out?
There is one way out,
Oh, really?
but it's as intricate and fraught with risk
Okay.
as the goo itself.
So there's a way to get rid of it,
Yes.
but it's not easy.
It's called marrying off the golden cicada.
Marrying off the golden cicada.
Yes.
Okay, this sounds intriguing.
It's quite a ritual.
How does one go about marrying off a mystical, wealth-transferring insect?
The ritual involves transferring the goo to another unsuspecting individual.
Okay.
The ashes from the incense burner where the golden cicada resides are placed in a box along with gold and silver, and this box is left for someone else to find.
That's like a cursed treasure chest.
That's a good way to put it. Whoever finds it inherits the goo and the pact.
Hmm.
Precisely the unsuspecting recipient, enticed by the gold and silver,
Right.
unwittingly takes on the burden of the golden cicada goo, inheriting both its potential benefits and its terrifying consequences.
It's a dangerous game of passing the buck,
It is.
with potentially devastating consequences for the recipient.
Yes, very much so.
It really highlights the manipulative nature of goo and the ways it could be used to exploit and control others.
Absolutely.
And it reinforces the idea that power, especially power gained through such means, always comes at a price.
Always.
There are always consequences, whether they're immediately apparent
Right.
or lurking in the shadows waiting to unfold.
Exactly.
So even if you manage to marry off the golden cicada goo, you're essentially condemning someone else to a potentially terrible fate.
You are. It's a stark reminder that actions have consequences and that the pursuit of power can lead down a dark and dangerous path.
It's been an incredible journey exploring the world of goo,
It has.
for its venomous origins to its connection with spiritual forces and the intricate rituals that bind it all together.
Yes.
What stands out to me is the way goo intertwines with human nature. Our desires, our fears, and our endless fascination with the unseen forces
Right.
that shape our lives.
It's a reflection of humanity.
And that's what makes goo so compelling, isn't it?
It is.
It's not just about ancient rituals and venomous creatures.
Right.
It's a reflection of ourselves, our capacity for both good and evil, and the enduring struggle between ambition and morality.
It's a timeless theme.
It's a reminder that even in our modern technologically advanced world, the allure of power and the belief in unseen forces remain potent forces.
They do.
And this leads us to a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
If goo, with its subtle effects and reliance on spiritual manipulation, was primarily a tool of the elite,
Right.
and its traces are so difficult to detect, could it still be operating in the shadows of our world,
It's a question worth pondering.
influencing events and fortunes without our knowledge?
Possibly.
That's a chilling thought.
It is.
It's like you're suggesting that even in our world of science and reason, there might still be room for ancient magic.
Perhaps the world is full of mysteries.
Right.
And our understanding of reality is constantly evolving. Who's to say that the beliefs and practices of the past have entirely vanished?
It's a reminder to stay curious, to question our assumptions, and to be open to the possibility that there might be more to the world than meets the eye.
Exactly. The world of goo, with its blend of ritual belief and the power of the natural world, might seem like a relic of the past. But perhaps it's a reflection of something deeper. Something that continues to resonate within us, whether we acknowledge it or not.
Well, listeners, I don't know about you, but I'm suddenly feeling a lot more aware of the unseen forces that might be at play around us.
I can understand that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of goo.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring the world with open minds and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yes.
Who knows what mysteries you might uncover?